Na'Vi are in the grand finals one more time. A legendary team. They're going to make it all the way. 26 kills on Simple, 21 on Flamey, who has had an absolutely godlike semifinals.
Yeah, Flamey in this series is my MVP. All three maps, of course. Simple there at the end, just bringing him over the finish line. Incredible stuff from Na'Vi. Tested.
Still soulmates.
Yeah, well, still, I mean, Liquid can leave this proud, I think. I think this is a good showing from them overall that they can still survive post-Simple in this lineup, because that was the big question.
I mean, if you look at it overall, you've got Liquid nearly going back to train and winning it, and almost doing it on Dust 2. Down to the main stage, we do have Red Eye ready for an interview, so please, Paul, take it away for us.
Okay, we have Simple on the stage. Simple, come in a little bit. I just want to talk to... First of all, Flamey was incredible on game 2.
Yeah, thanks Flamey that won for us second map. He was lucky in some moments, but he played really well.
And then third game looked like it was pretty easy in the end, but it got tough towards the end. Liquid they never lay down and died, and you know that, having played with them. So what are you guys talking about in that last game? Are you just trying to stay calm, find some picks, find some openings? What's happening for you?
It was very hard when you have 15 rounds to finish one round, because it was just like fake, you know? He's like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, that's all.
It was pretty cool indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Simple and Na'Vi are through to the grand final. Thank you.
The game is hot, as are the mics, and it's going to be Na'Vi versus Liquid that has concluded. Our first semi-final done, and damn, did the audience get a little bit of a show towards the end of that one. Na'Vi may have started strong on Dust 2, but Liquid decided to push them further and further. Duncan and Yanko here to understand exactly what happened over on Dust.
He's capable of being as aggressive. I hate pointing out individual players, but Liquid had a lot of rounds where they would get to the bomb site, right? They would get into the afterplant position. Yeah. The fact that JDN couldn't get a single kill for the first 10 rounds, usually that's where his strong suit is, right? You get the bomb down, he gets into position, and then he's that turret just taking long-range battles and securing the afterplant situation for your team alongside Hiko. That was the missing spark Liquid needed in some of those rounds.
Yeah, for nearly all the first half, JDM was sat on like 0 kills, got 1 towards the end. Very, very disappointing, but again, Flamey did it on the map before, and this time Simple was going crazy.
I think even with JDM's underperformance in the first half, Na'Vi did a great job of reading Team Liquid. You could see how they even had 4 players stacked on the A bomb site once Liquid tried to go for that smoke A execute. So considering that they also had the simple crazy clutch round with throwing the AWP, why not, in the air, and the jumping headshot the gun round before that on the A bomb site, all those things combined, it's really hard for Liquid to get any more than even 2 rounds.
I do want to take the opportunity while you're talking about me. over 100 ADR. Simple not too far behind him, just nipping at the heels with 68 frags and closing in on 90 ADR. Now, take the opportunity to look at Liquid as well. I like that. Just, oh, never mind. It's fine. We have Flamey and Simple, and these are the ones you've chosen to highlight, Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, these were the two guys. I mean, it's funny that not only have they not required a big performance from Guardian, it almost hasn't mattered. That's what's so bizarre, because they've got these other two young superstars. I mean, these are the future of the CIS region. Two very, very skilled players, both very young, by the way. Flamey also quite a young player, so this can be kind of the face of Na'Vi for years to come. But, I mean, that 1v1 that Simple was in there, I think that really is like a signature round. I mean, we're going to see it again here, because the whole point of this is, sure, anyone could do that in theory. It's just it would never occur to most players to do this, okay? Not only that, he thinks he can do it and it will work. So what's great about Simple is, it's true, if you ever see him have a bad game, it looks like he's overly spontaneous.
Still gets a kill with a pistol straight away.
So, I mean, I guess if you think about it, in Nitro's mind, he suddenly has these thoughts, and he just gets out for a second, he's like, is he picking up a rifle? Is there something he can pick up back there? Why is he, I mean, what, like, how, it gets your brain thinking about things other than holding that angle, sure.
And then he dies, and he's like, did he really just
do that?
And did they really just lose to that? So I was impressed by Liquid that, for one, I was surprised that they didn't take a timeout immediately after that, but they did manage to win the following round nonetheless, so it didn't seem to affect them all that much.
But I mean, this is why they brought Simple into Na'Vi, because especially that last major, for anyone in the world.
I'd like to touch on the second half briefly, though, even though I didn't think that Liquid actually had a realistic chance of coming back, since Na'Vi got to 15 on such an early time. They do have an interesting way to approach their CT side. You could see how often they go for those blind stacks towards 4 players towards A or 3 players towards B. And that it's dangerous to play against that, right? They don't give away any info until you get to the actual bomb site. You can't really know how many players are waiting for you. In that situation, I think it's a very good call to go for a delayed long take, smoking off the left side that we see create.
For now, though, we will be taking a short break. If you are enjoying all of the action, you're gutted you couldn't quite come to the Barclays Centre, if your schedule didn't quite line up, there is another event coming up in your area. Fingers crossed. It's, of course, IEM Oakland. That's coming up just next month. You get to look forward to a $300,000 event going down actually in maybe your back garden. You should check it out, though. It's going to be available. You can see the link there. It's iem-oakland.com. And all 4 of the playoff teams here are going to be there as well. So you can see your favorite teams doing battle in your favorite game. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's our second semi, and it's a big one. SK versus Virtus Pro.
I got that it was a weird path. I had a couple names before it, but I always really, despite not being religious, I always really liked the biblical theme around the alias. That idea of the biblical theme was pretty appealing to me. So toyed with a couple different names, but landed on Moses, and it just kind of stuck one day. And then once you have any amount of success in esports, once you build up your name at all whatsoever, you're kind of stuck with whatever you pick. So I guess I'm just a little bit lucky that it's not as silly as some of the other names I had. The original name I had was Angel. I was very young. I very much liked the stories. It was just that you were competing at the highest level of Counter-Strike. I didn't think I would be a professional gamer back then. I think I was one of the cynics of the whole thing where, you know, I actually played with my brother. My brother was the one who actually thought that he could convert that in 2005, 2006 into an actual lucrative career as a professional video gamer. And at the time, I was the one who was just like, no, that's not realistic. It's not big enough. It's not going to happen. When I kind of went off to college and stopped competing, I didn't know what I wanted to go into, and I was still watching Counter-Strike. I was still playing it for fun. It still had like this idea in my head of, you know, you are a little bit old, as crazy as that sounds in video game world. I think I was 27 at the time, but it was at that point where I think coming back and being a professional player was kind of an outrageous dream to have at that point, to be able to make a salary and a living off of it. But I did want to come back and play for at least a year, and then transition into trying to cast. And at that point, I didn't know it could be a career. At that point, it was just, you know, a cool way that I was thinking, make a very small amount of money on the side of whatever job I had, and just a way to stay involved in a hobby that I loved. Henry G was very soon around that time as well. I got a lot of support from some of the professional players that I just finished competing with and against. You know, was having a lot of good comments coming from them, that they appreciated the kind of style I was bringing with the view of being a professional player. I mean, you know, it's weird because ESL One Cologne, I have this really cool video of when we first got introduced to the stadium, and there was no one in it. They were just kind of testing out the sound system and everything, and they had the intro video, and I think that was like take your breath away kind of thing. That event in particular in 2015 was the realization of a lot of those dreams that myself talent. I love these events. I love seeing the crowd cheer. I love that the USA chant is incredible. It's all just so much fun.
You either love the chocolatey, peanut buttery deliciousness of Reese's Puff cereal, or you stuck your tongue to a frozen pole in 4th grade, and it's still there. Reese's Puffs. You either love them, or you're wrong.
This is the Score Esports, the ultimate esports experience. The Score Esports is your home for everything CSGO, delivering the biggest stories and all the scores, stats, and updates you care about in real time. The Score Esports takes you inside the ropes with exclusive video interviews, features, highlights, and analysis. Even get all the same non-stop
Any FPS player.
ESL One New York is brought to you in part by Alienware, Microsoft, CyberPower PC, Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, The Score Esports, and NVIDIA.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we're all enjoying the atmosphere here in the Barclays Arena for ESL One New York. It's definitely been great so far, but I do want to take the time to have a little bit of a chat with some of the people that get back from Alienware in that regard in recent times.
Well, as you know, Alienware has built a brand over 20 years of developing innovative PC gaming hardware to the market, and we have no intention of stopping. Just this year, we've launched brand new desktops, brand new notebooks. We're helping smash down the barriers for getting people into virtual reality and 4K gaming. We have cool additions to our lineups like the Alienware Graphics Amplifier, which keeps you gaming with any of today's traditional full wattage desktop graphics cards. And if you haven't seen by now, Alienware launched a brand new lineup of 13, 15, and 17-inch notebooks that are just amazing feats of performance and engineering. I hope you guys get a chance to get your hands on one and get gaming on them soon.
So we're talking about keeping your hardware and your systems sort of up to date and up to track, of course, with a lot of the new games that are coming out and the new systems. What are some of the games or systems that are pushing you guys forward and forcing you to make optimizations or keep in step with how, I guess, advanced gaming technology and graphics is getting today?
You know, for us, it's really twofold. It's certainly around the VR realm. There's certainly a whole bunch of hardware capabilities, functions, and features that need OLED. Those are the display technologies that make these games more beautiful to play, but require hardcore performance from the system to be able to push that. And so that's what Alienware chases, and that's what we're out there to enable for our users.
And if anyone ever seen a game in 4K or even video footage in 4K, it's very much a different experience to perhaps what a lot of us are used to. But let's shift the topic a little bit here, if I may, Chris, and let's talk about esports a bit. Of course, you know, we know that you guys have had a little bit of a look at what's been going on here at ESL One New York so far. I mean, any insights or, you know, any favorite parts of the event for you guys so far?
I mean, Mitch, it's really just being here and being part of the event. I mean, the electricity of what's going on here, how excited people are. It's just fun to be a part of it. It's like a kid at a carnival. I'm super happy, and I can't wait to see how some of the gaming competitions drive it through the mainstream. You know, it's helped to bring large amounts of corporations, large amounts of dollars to this space. It's been getting visibility. It's been getting mainstream play across cable television. It helps every facet of just a PC gaming ecosystem, and that's what Alienware loves. We love being a part of it. We love helping move it forward. We love that it's some of our technology that these professionals and the talented gamers that are using it are using Alienware. We're humbled by that, and we're so happy that we can be a part of it. You know, we're excited to see the next level of esports, how VR can make a play into it. You know, there's a lot more opportunity here, and Alienware's along for the in our products in front of gamers. You know, in the past we've done everything from sponsoring small LAN centers. We've provided hardwares to teams. We've sponsored teams. We've sponsored entire organizations. If you go, you know, decades back when other folks have tried it in the past, and we'll continue doing that. Dell has a huge stake, and Alienware is continuing to lead and drive the innovation in esports. And you'll continue to see our investments, both in the hardware and in the sponsorships, continue.
I can guarantee you both myself and the crowd here will be very happy to hear that. That's about all we've got time for today, though. Chris, thank you so much for joining us here as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear from you guys at Alienware, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Hey, thanks so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to kick it back to the...
I remember when we played Columbus on the major, crowd is amazing, it's very full. Of course, when you play against American teams, you don't like it, but when you're playing against other teams, it's pretty amazing because they're cheering for you. These rounds are costing us very difficult starts on every single half, so it's been very difficult to win match, but this time, at least on the last game, we at least won the fourth round.
The second semi-final is about to commence. Liquid fans have prepared themselves with body armor, it seems, as they're ready to go ahead and deal with what will be the second semi-final. No North Americans here, but we certainly have got someone from the Americas, the South American, Brazilian power. We just get a quick taste of who we believe is going to be, lining that grand final stage alongside Navi and justify those reasons. Let's start with SK, though. Yes, I've already said that champion word about 900 times.
Yep. They've won a lot of titles, though.
Yeah, could you kind of quickly outline exactly, we talk about the majors, but what makes these guys so damn good?
Sure, well, what's so great about the era that they had is that basically the majors sort of bookend those championships, because they won one championship, the major, then they had DreamHack Austin, admittedly NA competition, but they easily handled everyone at that competition. They were able, obviously, to win ESL Pro League Season 3 finals, that amazing series against G2 in the final, very, very memorable.
Gosh, yeah.
They obviously came back, and at the major, ESL One Cologne, that is, were able to win, only dropping one map in the whole competition to this team. Also the team they'd only dropped the one map in at MLG Columbus. And then that's really the breadth of it at the moment. Like, that's the interesting thing. They've been very dominant, but because of, for example, injuries, keeping them out of tournaments, and then obviously the debacle that meant they didn't play in the playoffs of E-League, weirdly, for such a dominant team, they haven't had that many actual titles brought in. Like, listen, 2 majors is pretty big, but beyond that, it's only a smattering, it's not like those teams who can run through, like Fnatic, I think last year won 12 titles or something.
In terms of that's unprecedented. Duncan will correct me if I'm wrong, but the good thing about this team, what makes them so strong, is that they're probably the most unpredictable team we have generally in the scene, right? Because they're so versatile in terms of who's the main opera of the team, who's the in-game leader of the team. Sometimes we see them switch that up in just one game, right? When they're not feeling, when they think that they're getting figured out slowly, they just switch it around, someone else starts calling, and that makes it much more difficult for the other team to get a read on them.
You've got a very kind of concentrated, world-class Brazilian side, and you have a team that in some way or another have played together for 10, if not 3 years in this all alone.
For a place in the grand final. Our first team are double major champions. They are the defending ESL One champions, the #1 team in the world, SK Gaming. Their opponents are a team who are no stranger to these matchups, one of their nemesis teams over the last 12 months, also a former major champion and on a hot streak right now in Counter-Strike Global Offensive with not 1, but 2 titles in the last 2 weeks. Can they make it 3 out of 3? Let's find out as we welcome Virtus Pro! Ready. You guys are ready at home, I know, and the guys here in the Barclays Center are also ready to cheer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Virtus Pro versus SK Gaming.
I would find it's quite surprising. If they tuned out of CS for like a year or so, perhaps a little longer, they would be wondering where on earth these guys came from. Could you perhaps fill them in? I mean, these guys have come from nowhere to being undisputed world's best.
Yeah, and it's in less than 2 years, actually. What happened was Brazil was essentially a non-factor in 2014 and before in CSGO. So the first 2.5 years, no relevance whatsoever. Like, they had one team that went to an ESWC, no one really cared, they had no real performance. Then in early 2015, along came this team that was Fallen, it was Fur. I think that might have been it at the time. And what happened was, they got a couple of upsets. And when they got to the best of 3, no matter who they played, they'd either play a team close on a map or they'd win a map, but they could never win the series. And so the problem was, that was always the knock. It's like, you're a really great, you're almost a great team. Like, you've got to be able to win series to be a great team, though. And then they did this magical change, like 2 days before DreamHack Winter. And when they did this, they brought in FNX, they brought in Taco, and this just transformed the team, because before that, okay, they had a star player. They had Coldzera. He was very good. He was very consistent. But again, like I say, they didn't have enough firepower. They had the tactics. When they brought in FNX, this veteran presence, and then Taco to kind of be this dual handman,
a day before a tournament, they went on to make it all the way to the grand finals, beating multiple opponents in best of threes. But I mean, just looking at the stats here, who obviously stands out is Fer, the player who actually was out of play for a month, having surgeries. So him having 100 ADR across the tournament, that's an amazing stat, especially for a player like him who took a step back in the team for the likes of Cold Zero.
I mean, that's what we always kind of highlight, is that when you lose that initial component, everyone started getting worried a little bit about SK, of course, when they didn't have that player due to injury.
You can see how they struggled for a while during that period, and what's important there is that they pointed out themselves, especially on the CT side, how Fer is very important because he plays the rotator role. So it's not just about who gets the frags, it's about who's there to support, who's there, the first guy who can make the call, okay, should I be on this side or the other side? Not every player is capable of that. That's not something you see in stats most of the time.
And there's a lot of things, of course, we do always have to highlight that stats do not cover everything. But Duncan, you know what time it is. It is going to be time to discuss maps. A best of 3 this time. We're away from the best of 1s that previously SK did stamp their mark upon, but they've got well past that.
Second weakest map for SK. So if each goes with their normal permabans, it also actually enhances the rest of the series. So it makes it just sort of like, here's the thing. We know that VP played Dust 2 once at E-League. It wasn't like amazing, but they just had a good run against NIP. We know that in the past, the SK guys can play Cash. It's just why bother when actually Dust 2 was better for you before. So standard bans. So now we get the power picks, okay. If you're the guys from VP who are picking now, I think VP, despite what happened yesterday, really might just go ahead and pick Train, actually. They might just say, despite the fact we lost you on it yesterday, still picking Mirage here. SK have actually shown a recent pattern of sometimes banning out Cobblestone against dangerous opponents. That's going to then be available second ban rotation, right? So is VP probably just going to take it?
Maybe. What I'm interested to see here is, does SK pick Train? Pick Nuke? Because Nuke is a map that they've shown that they want to play. Obviously, that mess of a veto process at the major with VP actually picking it, then losing 16-5 on it. Okay, they decide against it. Overpass, another map that they're extremely strong on, that they managed to have multiple wins against tier 1 teams, probably the most notable.
Because that means it's Nuke and Cobble, so it's almost like you're daring SK to go into that Cobblestone.
This is a game of chicken, basically. I think VP here is gambling on the fact.
I think VP's messed that up.
I think they were gambling on the fact that SK will feel more comfortable playing Cobblestone than Nuke, but SK obviously has no problem with playing Nuke, especially against VP and especially against that result at the major. So this again is the problem. I think you pointed it out, Duncan, at the major. It's not just the fact that VP doesn't go for Train, like vetoes Nuke. It's the fact that them vetoing Train and forcing towards Cobble gives you the impression that they lost.
That in that interview, they genuinely and rather embarrassingly admitted that they were not prepared for Nuke.
It was a Hail Mary. They were just trying to do something crazy,
Something crazy, a curveball. We are going to have to be quick, Yanko, so just start wrapping your prediction into your...
We'll have to wait for the post-game to see what their reasoning was. I think it was a gamble that didn't pay off. But yeah, looking at the maps, Mirage, all right, but you picking it gives the chance to SK to pick side, and they're probably the best CT-sided team on Mirage in the world. So always a question mark with VP. They can play up to SK's level, but I just think that right now SK is in better.
I'm certainly intrigued to see how this series does play out. And you know, someone else, or a set of people that are also very interested, is our casters. Before I do throw them up on your screens, a big thank you to one of our sponsors, is Alienware, who have, alongside others, enabled us to make this event a reality here in the Barclays Centre, and it has been wild for fans and casters alike. But big thank you to them, of course, the Alienware 15 Touch Signature Edition. They're doing, I think, $1,000 off. It's a mad deal, so do be sure to give it an eye up if you're in the market. For now, though, let's jump into it. It's SK versus Virtus Pro. Our first map is Mirage. All eyes on Virtus Pro as they go into, well, the Brazilians' den. We'll see what they...
Still a very new map at the time, so maybe putting a little bit work into it before this event. Maybe they've brushed up on it a little bit, have something different, but that's a scary map for VP to have as the deciding map in this series if it gets there, just because SK's already just destroyed them on it. It wasn't even a close game, it was a dismantling. So that's a little bit frightening, but other than that, these first two maps, Mirage and that Overpass, this is going to be, I mean, to see these two teams face off on these maps is going to be excellent. Cool styles of plays, really exciting Counter-Strike to come out.
In contrast, though, a couple weeks ago in the ESL Pro League, this is actually where we saw on Nuke is where SK actually dropped the map.
Normally you'd say it gives a pretty decent advantage, but this team, both of these teams actually, along with Navi, are those teams known for just, you know, getting their T rounds on the difficult maps to find them. The offenses are very, very good. They're so good at grinding rounds out. They're very good at adjusting and you know, changing tactics to any kind of difficulty they run into. So both teams very, very capable of having strong offenses.
And we saw as well yesterday, too, that VP actually, on train specifically, were struggling a little bit on their T side. Do you think any of the issues we saw yesterday are going to carry over onto this map, or do you think that that's not necessarily going to be as dependent here on Mirage?
They could. I mean, the script
around. Make some noise as we're going live now. It's VP versus SK. Virtus Pro are going to be starting off on the T side, SK on the CT side. The pistol round begins right now, and we'll immediately get into it, too. VP actually bringing a lot of utility to the table. Only 2 players going for armor buys, and they're going to go right for a T-ramp push.
Yeah, 2 HE nades on Snacks and Neo. This is going to go towards FNX at this ticket booth, so he's got to be very, very careful. Once the execute comes up, the first 2 nades thrown at him are going to be the HEs. There they are. He gets one anyways, though. They actually haven't done anything. 2 quick headshots for SK, but it seemed like the nades just didn't get to where they wanted. That's definitely to clean FNX out. And I know Neo got an assist on one of his teammates dying, so perhaps he gets killed with a nade in his hand, and it just drops at their feet. So a little bit fortunate for SK in that regard, but a brilliant pistol round.
And VP here, of course, right into the second round and right into the mid control that they so love to take in the early portions of these rounds here. Snacks wasting no time moving himself out through the underpass. Also 2 players up on top of mid, too. Snacks looking for an early peek in there, but actually the SK guys, with the exception, of course, of Cold here, are being rather passive about it. Cold takes up the position on cap, but everybody else is lighting the sound. And with that, Taco's going to be a lot of wrap around, although he does get taken down by Snacks. This will be brought into a 2-on-2, and the SK players, well, they're maxed out of the sight a little bit here. VP are able to push in, however, Fur doing damage at long range with a shotgun, switching over to the pistol. He's going to be down at 3 HP. Doesn't want to dare peeking out again because they still need to worry about the post plant. He'll let the VP players get away and onto that B site for now.
And what a ballsy fight by Bialy. And I mean, Fur almost baits him into committing there with the shotgun, but not dying allows him to get the bomb and get up towards the site. So that's huge. Fur going to lead the way with 3 HP. And that's his question. Do you like
into this next round, immediately investing into AKs and upgraded pistols?
Yeah, and this isn't a bad idea by Virtus Pro whatsoever. It's very, very aggressive, but they know with 4 kills that round, they've got the economy so low. This forces a save out of SK and Virtus Pros to win this. Tough part is, I mean, Fur even maybe misreading the situation. Obviously, you can't really expect this all the time, but SMG on him, so a little bit of a disadvantage for the SK side. And actually, FNX eats a great nade. Fantastic chip damage onto him.
The rest of VP in the meantime, we're seeing a couple players trying to push their way into the apartments. Taco sees that coming, though, and Cold holding off on
key to that victory for SK. UMP against a couple of rifles, and he managed to get them both, and that eliminates half the attack onto that B site from Virtus Pro. So great job by him, and now finally the pressure abates a little bit. Virtus Pro, they're going to come into this round. They have a couple pistols upgraded, a little bit of utility, but no armor, no real bite to this attack.
Taz as well will go on hunting here in the first couple seconds of the round, trying to see if he can catch anybody moving their way up over here towards the T-ramp, but he's been naded out and back there, so won't be challenging that anytime soon. This is going to allow FNX to take that aggressive position, and the rest of VP are still looking to push
the pistols, even without armor, are too much utility, so they're keeping the money low early on in this half from SK.
And Bialy's going to push himself up towards the connector here, but Fallen, waiting for that one, is going to find himself an easy shutdown for Pasha's the last man standing here. He's got an M4, but obviously no armor behind it, no extra utility, and SK know exactly where he's playing from here. Just trying to hold his own and grab any additional kills. He actually does get that kill into Fur, who drops right into his spray.
Why not? That's from Pasha rings out. And the question becomes now, when does Taz pounce? How aggressive does he want this lurk to be? Oh, the timing was almost there.
In the meantime, though, Fallen is going to be able to pick up a shot from his op there. Although, again, he overpeaks back from just outside a ticket booth there, and he's going to get taken down. And Snacks, he's found another one. He's got Fur blind, spraying him in the foot to begin with there, but gets him to peek out, shuts him down. Now we're in a 4v2. Taco trying to turn this in the favor of the CT still somehow, but FNX can't support. We've been seeing him come out big in these first couple of rounds, but he's gone quiet as of late. Now we need to see him jump back in, making a lot of noise, and it's not going to reach.
So it's SK who's going to be forced back on towards pistols. And even, I mean, look at Cold's Era, $1,450 for him. That means even though they save, actually, he just flat out buys up because he's going to be in a double save scenario no matter what. And even now, a little bit of a late investment. It looks like actually SK is going to invest everything they have into this round. Fallen and FNX, the most money, $1,800 and $1,600 kept on both of those players. And a good find again from Pasha.
2 rounds in a row, Pasha moves right up there and snatches a player outside of the window area. However, Fallen himself moves back over there and at least a bit of an advantage in the race here now as they do try to molly out this player in window. No one being flushed out from the initial Molotov, so just the usual smoke up. And now the rest are actually going to abandon top mid and wrap back around over here to T-Ramp to go for just a normal A hit.
Yeah, VP slows everything down. They're waiting for some kind of information, someone from SK to push to see if they can punish that, maybe thin out the defense a little bit more. And this is a gamble from SK towards the A site. They don't really have too much information, but it works out for them. Cold in the site, followed with that scout. That's the dangerous weapon at hand as the smokes rain in.
And they're going to push themselves up to the site pretty quickly. Or following.
Win it. But doesn't want to overextend here. So Virtus Pro, slow start going down 0-4, but off the virtue of doing good damage throughout these force buys and those eco rounds they had, immediately grab an advantage here. 2 in a row, and SK is going to spend a couple of rounds with light and weaker buys. And it's been off the back a lot of Pasha. I mean, these op picks that he's gotten, one against Cold with an AWP, the other the next round just against a pistol, but finding ways to get a man advantage, and that's going to be really, really beneficial.
That will still finally put a round up.
There it is. Fur comes back for more, and he gets taken out. Does get a dink through with just a pistol, but can't match that AWP, and there's a little bit of aggression over towards the A site. Fallen and FNX, doubled up on balcony on top and underneath. But VP's going to take this one slow.
Just your usual risk stack here from SK, trying to hope that they do manage to force these guys over here into the A-bomb site. And VP, of course, as normal, just taking their time with things. They still keep Iyali just outside of the A site there, making sure no one decides to push in against them. But in a moment here, he's going to push himself up, and it does look like VP are trying to work their way over to
the Virtus Pro respond with 3 of their own. FNX, he's kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. Might be able to get 1 kill, maybe 2 if they don't clear this corner, but shouldn't really be any opportunity to win the round, and VP close to evening up the scoreline.
Almost see Taz getting knocked out there, but he holds his own, is able to keep himself alive. And with that VP, then one gun round of tying this up.
I think the big issue is that Coldzera shaved off that mustache. That was a powerful mustache.
It's gone now. They've lost the power. Move in, and of course SK actually giving VP once again a lot of room to work with this, with the only real exception being Coldzera to play a little bit more aggressively, peeking out towards catwalk there. They don't really have anyone aggressively peeking out towards mid in the connector area, and FNX himself is not going to dare to peek out towards window. He's holding on the outside area in jungle, waiting to see if anyone's going to boost up through underpass, and VP are returning that in the same kind of style of play here. They're taking it very passively as well, with only having 1 or 2 of their guys moving forward to try and grab any early intel. But now, with the time getting low, of course, they need to make some moves, and they're going to just strike here to take that mid control as usual.
Yeah, but Fur's going to have something to say about it from stops just before spotting Taco jump.
Taco still safely tucked away in the CT spawn over there. We do actually see a flashbang move in, but unfortunately the shot from Snacks ends up clipping off the boxes there, so it's not going to connect. Coldzera finds that final kill on the round, and SK do get to keep themselves in a very dominant position leading here.
Yeah, and good to have 3 players survive. They now get a double op setup for free. So, I mean, that's all things. They struggled so much with the economy in those first 4 rounds. Now that they have their 5th, they've got a little bit that they can lean on. And we know how powerful the double op setup is for Fallen and Coldzera. It is split, but these Molotovs slowing them down. Nice job buying time from the SK side of things. Taco and Coldzera, he's going to get his perch with the AWP, but he's blinded, and Snacks finds it. Cold does not try and hide. He tries to wait out the flashbang. Now it's all on Taco. He's got to do more. Teammates are coming in. They're still a couple seconds away. No one pressuring Taco from VP until just now. Huge kill for Taco, and now the reinforcements are here, but they're blocked out. They are locked in market.
A lot of damage done to some of these players from VP, so SK have a primer to get themselves in the site. Their problem, though, is going to be a lapse of utility. First sitting on a smoke and a fence. We do see in, though, and it's SK.
Locked in that back corner. He was trying to take fights, trying to find one-on-ones, but no one from neither Fur nor Fallen committing to that kind of a battle. Pause here for the Virtus Pro side of things. 3-6. They've got plenty of money again with the plant. That's 2 plants in a row for them through these 2-round losses, but that's going to give them plenty of money. They can get whatever they want to work with.
Yeah, they're going to have no problem at all taking this into another gun round for themselves here. So all they're going to have to do now is figure out how exactly they can take this on the T side. Is something that works. They've been having no problems getting mid situation,
but the moment it's going very, very well. Virtus Pro tries to change the pace on him, goes away from the AWP. This time they're going to go back to it. So maybe a little bit of a slower round as the Molotovs from SK just kind of delayed that very fast catwalk hit for a long, long time.
And dispatching of some of these more key players from SK2, most notably Fallen, who's been allowed to just go all out with his op on round again, has been just destroying VP, so still looking for a way to make sure they can dispatch of him too, like back over here by Ticket as he's playing right now, but he's also changed up his position a couple of times over on the opening round. He got split
As in Palace, so one part of this three-piece attack has been eliminated.
We are going to see the Molotov going on to Burr. He tries to push out, but the guys from VP back away. Not only is that Molotov going to burn for a lie, but then Neo and Pasha grab two more on the way into the site. They've cleaned it out. The only one they've got to worry about here now is Fallen back by Ticket, and also on that cross, Taco has a ride back over here on Cat. Pasha's got that covered, at least hopefully he thinks he does anyway, and now they're going to be able to push up to the bomb site here too. Fallen being restricted, good flashbang control going on to him. He can't do anything, and Taco just caught with a knife out, so there you go. Fallen, unfortunately, knows he can't pull this one off, so he's going to try to escape. Quick shot from him.
They're put right back onto pistols. So VP, I mean, despite some of the struggles they've had, are doing a fantastic job controlling the economy. They've got a couple easier ones, and Neo manages that push very well. Fallen's the next one up, and Neo already spots him out, so not a whole lot of danger can come from this.
He does get him to use his Molotov at the very least there. He's using that bit early on in the round, but obviously now realize that these guys are going to be on an eco. Virtus Pro will start to poke and prod at the bomb site. No reason to rush things as per usual here, since they could be being drawn essentially into a trap there, where SK have gone for a full stack onto the site. They'll still play it back, they'll still take things per usual.
On the extremity, they're basically just keeping options open on the whole map before they decide where to go. They want to make sure they have that control. If they need to fall back towards A, if they need to fall back towards B, they have those options available.
And unfortunately for Fallen and Taco, they were in no position to try and trade that. Fallen's even trying to play these guys over here on Cat a little bit. Tried to jump up a few seconds ago. We got dinked down to 7. He's certainly not in the best of spirits at this point. And well, there you go. He's going to get knocked out by Neo there finally. Taco has some better luck moving in there. Gets some nice shots into Snacks. Doing some damage at the very least here. But again, only that one kill to be found. Taz immediately trades him out. It's a bit different from the...
It's all on this push. There's a good trade, but it's traded back and forth, and VP comes out on top.
And with that, again, VP is going to punish the aggression from SK. Dominating in that respect, leaving only Cold and Taco up and running here in VP. No reason to waste on this one. They're going to group up over here in the T-ramp and try to go for a push. This actually does buy time, though, because they're taking it a bit slow for SK to group up here. They've taken the risk on it. They've sent Taco to group up over here towards the window room, so they can try and play this together, but at the same time, Coldzera up on the platform. Oh, this could actually prove to be very interesting later on in the round. He's going to back into the Palace here, and if they not going to yield enough money for SK to be able to viably go for another buy in the next round, at least unless they want to force it. But this time is probably not going to be advisable. VP are tying it up, and they might just be able to take the lead here too. Although Taco having another opportunity to find at least one kill. Actually trade that up for an AK as well. So finding something to scavenge with. He'll be challenged again, though, in a moment here. We do see Bialy pushing him from underpass, and Bialy is going to take him down. No saves at all for SK. Clean slate for the Brazilians as they go into the 13th round here, and a tie game as well.
Yeah, well, that was an aggressive buy out of them because of what they could bring into it behind the rifles. So instead of saving and waiting until get the AWPs back.
These rounds on T side too, if they show up strong with a good CT side performance like we saw yesterday, that is where it's going to get a bit dangerous for the SK roster, and that's where Virtus Pro could sneak away with this first map.
Well, the unpause comes in, and indeed it is just pistols for the SK side. Backs against the wall here. Tough first half for them so far. Virtus Pro has done such a good job of preventing this double op setup from not only being effective when it was employed, but preventing it from really even coming out whatsoever. I think there's only been like 2 rounds where SK's had 2 AWPs, so this has been phenomenal on the T side for VP.
And the rest of this, unfortunately, is walled off, smoked off, Molotov, whatever you want to do to it. Unfortunately, they can't do a lot about it. And Pasha just sitting on the bench there, waiting for the peaks in the connector. Grabs one, although a nice response from FNX. An instant headshot onto Pasha to take him back down. The rest, though, is under control, and this is where it's going to get a lot harder for these SK players to find kills.
Well, there's time to go for this still. Taco on a flank. He needs to do something right now if they're going to make this doable. No kit, and I think the bomb timer might be too far gone, but they can still try for it. See if they can do any damage. Snacks is going to jump up, and he's not taken out immediately, but
now they finally broke them. They were able to gain the lead off of that, but they're right back into another gun round, and this is where things have been a lot closer, and for the most part, a lot more dominant for SK, so they're going to have to watch out here and make sure they don't immediately lose the lead they just fought so hard to get.
Again, a change of pace. It looked like Neo, I mean, as the in-game leader, he wanted to switch things up. He wanted to get Snacks, into position to watch for Taco jumping, and that's a position that Na'Vi actually caught him out in a couple times, jumping to spot these B-halls yesterday. So if you get Snacks in a similar spot, he can hit that shot. Find an advantage for his team. For now, it doesn't work. The Molotov and the...
Start to fall back a little bit here, but as you mentioned, it's all going to be on Fallen to try and cull anything that tries to push his way out of this T-ramp. Flashed early on, but that's a very early flash. Tries to time shot it, but again, the smoke gets in the way of his vision there, and he's going to end up missing because of that. Now, we actually see FNX going for a very aggressive retake. That's a great flashbang, but he's burning. He drops right into the Molotov, and he's going to die because of that. Virtus Pro just play it back after being flashed. It works out perfectly for them, and now they're going to be able to walk right onto the site, only having to worry about, oh, there's another flashbang, though, and Fallen's able to impact off of that. Burr working his way back in through the connector, too, taking down Taz. Suddenly, that kill, and it falls to Bialy now.
1-on-2, Bialy, tough spot for him. Fallen no armor, they're watching for this. It's the op zoned in on the angle, and Bialy's so patient, but Fallen spotted him, and he's not baited out. 4 kills for Fallen. The captain of SK brings him right back into it. That play from FNX looks so silly when he burns from 100 to 0, but what it did do was actually delay Virtus.pro getting onto the site long enough for the smokes to clear, and that's what gave Fallen all the opportunities he needed. 4 kills with the AWP on that retake.
And so
they're close to the bomb site. Bialy, big fight to win. Can he do more? They're trying to get this bomb planted, but there it is. That's the bomb out in the open. Taz now wrapping on the site, can't win either. Down into a 2-on-2, the nades. Taco gets, oh no, it catches him right at the end. But FNX, this is a sneaky play. There's no way VP expects him to be here. But you can see they're being very patient, waiting for the smokes to clear.
He's been the clutch player so far for MSK, and he's going to have to do it once again now. As VP try to move back in, they catch Pasha running out into the open. All he's going to do is find Snacks, but sneaky Snacks.
Let's see what they bring to the table.
All right, guys, the second half is going to be coming up here in just a moment. Stick around, and we're going to be returning once again with more here between VP and SK. Virtus.pro start from the back of the pack in the first half, but by the end of this first half, they battled their way back, and now they hold the lead against SK on this first map of this best of 3. 8-7 is the current scoreline. They're about to jump onto the CT side, and SK have the mount to C side here to try and run the comeback and take this map for themselves. Moses still with me. Moses, going into the second half, what are you expecting to see now from either side?
I mean, listen, Virtus.pro is so dynamic in the way they attack different positions, different bomb sites on this map in that first half. SK...
And as we go into the game, of course, we'll be able to see the opening buys. SK not really going for any utility at all, just 5 players picking up armor. Whereas on the other side, VP doing something similar, only having Neo going for the kit here, along with the nade pickup, whereas everybody else just goes for their armor buys.
The benefit to this for SK, I mean, it's a little bit of a gamble, obviously not going for any smokes, but there's actually aggression from VP down the A ramp, so there's no one really, only Neo in mid. No one's going to rotate. Oh, that timing, really unfortunate. Almost gets caught out, almost even grabs a fadeaway shot. Here's the nade, could do damage, and it does. Pretty good, but Neo, that does more. And there goes Pasha as well.
Takes down Taco. FNX tries to sneak in, but a great setup from VP. Doesn't let him do anything at all. Bialy from the cap position takes him down, and Virtus.pro win the second half pistol.
Bialy is a damn hero that round, getting back from that aggression on the A ramp to peer over towards Catwalk. Drops the bomb from long range, sniffs out Fur, who's lurking, trying to pick off that kind of a rotation. And you could see SK, they wanted to get aggressive on market because that bomb was dropped, because they didn't actually get it planted. They knew they were going to be surrounded. They wanted to find one more kill, maybe fight their way to the A bomb site to find some kind of advantage in it, but a brilliant pistol from Virtus.pro.
It's such a good thing.
Everything up, a nicely timed flashbang as well, and that B defense crumbles. And you can already see they're conceding this round. The 2M4s, they're just saying, no, we'll bring them into the next one. We don't want to go for this. Bialy's got to fight as well, though. Taco does fall. FNX still flanking up. I think Pasha heard this. He'll be able to get him from behind, and he saves his teammate, perhaps. But SK, with these pistols, they're still going for more. They want to take these M4s away.
And Coldzera moving in there too now, armed with an SMG. He's going to try and hunt for Bialy or anybody else that he can find on this bomb site. They're looking to hold it, but Bialy doesn't dare want to peek against that one. Most of them are moving in here too, although it does appear they started to back up a bit.
And Cold, looking for this kind of a push, doesn't spot it. Timing works out at least initially, and a lot of SK, a lot of their manpower is devoted to these B halls at the moment.
Taz is going to try to still sneak up now that he's wrapped around the other corner of this one. Cold, though, is still in position to watch out for this exact push. So it's going to come down to the raw aim battle here. And on the initial play, actually, Snacks moving in through the underpass there. Heavy cost to himself, but he does pick up the kill. And now is fighting for survival here, too. FNX around the corner, unloading the whole clip. And in the meantime, that battle over in top mid with Taz, he did win out versus Cold. FNX ended up taking down Snacks, but we still see VP.
Still a little bit of danger. Bialy with that M4 is still around. He's over towards the B bomb site. Neo with the scout going to keep his eye on top mid. Actually, he's going to be overexposed, pushing up. He's only got the USP as well, and that's not the best weapon for that fight. All on Bialy, and he's basically just got to gamble. He's got to hope and pray they come towards B.
And at the moment, they're shifting themselves up towards mid, so leaving the options open here, but only 18 seconds on the clock. They've got to try to rush towards it. It looks like they are just going to go directly towards B. Here's the thing, though, with Bialy in the way, if he can take down even a few of them, he could delay it long enough here. Unfortunately, takes the wide peak battle, and FNX is going to immediately shut it down.
21 and 13 for him. First made his way into connector, and VP, this defense is crumbling. They only have pistols, not a whole lot to hold on to. Ooh, that's a nice MAC-10.
Nothing going to be picked up at all in this round for VP, unfortunately. Very lackluster arsenal. Most of them just rolling with their default pistols. So just wanting to get through that and get into this next gun round, of course, where they're all going to be investing into M4s. Unfortunately, their big problem is going to come for utility. They've got enough smokes and whatnot, so they've got the basics, but Molotovs and HE grenades, there's none of that to be found on any single player from VP. And already be in that position that he was just checking, but he stays in this area for now. And he is going to sneak back in from whence he came just a few moments ago here.
If you look at the minimap, you'll see FNX, his goal of this was to spread out this defense, and he's done just that. One player in the B halls, one player connector, and one player at A. So basically at the moment, he's got 3 one-on-one fights wherever he finds him. The issue is he just has to win this one quick. If he spots Pasha, that has to be a quick kill. Otherwise, it'll be a 1-on-2 very quickly, as Snacks is here for support now.
FNX is still waiting to catch 1 or 2 of these players from VP peeking their way out, but they're actually doing a great job of holding it past, at least against where he's peeking out from. Right now, we will see SK start to hold actually again at the edge of top mid, not necessarily pushing in for it yet, and there's good reason to this too. You can see how large the push was from VP in the early round, although they don't actually follow through with it. For the most part, they're just going to stick back here, and also Bialy holding the close angle to watch out for a T-ramp push. They've even, I believe, they've got Pasha boosted up too on the van position, who's watching for pushes from the apartments there in that corner, as you can see. So the VP guys want to try and play some close contests here for when SK finally do decide to push their way up, really to any area of the map that they want to try to take. Are going to slowly be contested up towards the connector first, but also making sure that they do flash these players out back by Cat, keeping them away first. And now finally looking to strike as the time gets lower and lower, down to 35 seconds here. Smoke initially into the connector, but Fur, in just a moment here, he's going to roll right through that as they are getting ready to move. And FNX takes that early damage. They don't actually spot Taz. He's able to go in the smoke. Fallen's going to find that first kill, but all of a sudden, big surprise. Taz pushing through, catches that kill. Unfortunately, that's the only thing that Virtus Pro found so far. The rest of the members of SK have been dominating up to this point, although Stacks is looking to change that. He's going to find a kill on FNX there, 11-10.
Phenomenal retake. It was so close to slipping away from them, and Snacks gets the critical kill. Just 1 in that round. And then Taco maybe overextending a little bit there, crouching and staying out in the open far too long. A great win from Virtus Pro, but still the money is low. It comes down to a 1-on-1. They haven't been able to build up any money. SK knows this.
And so off of this, of course, VP now have to look to capitalize. Finally, we need to see them get that big edge that they've been failing to get. And we almost saw there too. Taz going for the cross. Was definitely spotted by a couple of the members of SK. No shots fired for now.
Virtus Pro rings out with a kill. That's on to Taco. So he's the player over at A. He's the one who keeps their option of falling back into the A bomb site through Palace, through A ramp, and now they don't have that anymore. Everyone in mid or in these B halls. So options are shutting down for SK Gaming.
But slowly, though, they will start to move in for the same type of control we were seeing on the last round there. Taz taking a duel over here, back out towards mid, and Neo doing the same. But definitely we see the Virtus Pro players end up coming out on top of things.
So smart, though. Look at how they take these fights. They get a little bit of damage in the end. But the reinforcements, Taz is here. Snacks is in market. They're so close, but Coldzera, star performance, and FNX again. VP, this round is collapsing around them.
They just got the plant with 5 seconds left on the clock, so it all comes to Bialy now as he's going to look to re-enter the site. But as you mentioned before, no utility left on any single player in this match right now. So it's all going to be on Bialy. However, take a look at the 2 Ts at the moment. They're both looking over in this direction. FNX adjusts in time, but not enough. And now Coldzera only at 6 HP. Bialy trying to pull off off. But that one he's going to wrap around the corner. The missed shot. Now he's on his pistol, but he's going to catch the kill. Just to retrieve it there, and with that, it's used to win out. Came down to the wire there, too. Even on the defuse, not only was it for SK to push their way into the bomb set, but for VP even to find that final 1v2. Big clutches indeed coming out for the VP roster, and it's keeping them in this game and in the lead. And it's once again brought SK down onto a lackluster buy.
Still, incredibly, 3 Virtus Pro players at $0. Pasha on 50. There's no money, but Pasha, doesn't matter how much you have if you get those kills. The op is out before Taco takes him out. Oh, Neo, this is such a tough spot. Taco again showing his quality, but there's going to be a...
He's got nothing left now. It's all coming down to himself and his op, along with that Tech 9 that he's got stowed away. VP being very, very patient about this. They're not willing to rush this at all. They're just slowly sneaking back in. They take it together, too, which, of course, is the smart option. They're going to try to crunch on the site. Fallen looking to hold, but he turns his back at the wrong time, and Taz is going to grab that final kill. It'll be the full 10-second defuse, of course, but VP have plenty of time, so a 13th round up on the board for them.
It's incredible how low this money has been at any one of these points. These last 3 rounds, if SK were to have won any of them, then Virtus Pro would have been...
Great game that FNX is currently having. He's currently sitting at 27 and 17 above the next highest player, who's down at 18 and 15. That's Fallen. As you mentioned before, too, Fur and Cold at this point, not really showing up. The 2 lowest fraggers, both of them down at 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not often you see that. Cold Zera has been one of the most consistent players since he broke into the professional scene, since SK, then Luminosity picked him up. Like, he's had, I think, only 1 round of a sub 1.0 rating, and he was at 0.99. So, I mean, this is the strength of Cold Zera. This is why people think he's the best player in the world. Not because of his outstanding skills. It's more so because...
Going to be FNX lined up in the Palace to make some noise later on. More than likely, though, unless they work their way back out over there, down towards the underpass, which is actually what they're doing now. This will turn itself into an A hit.
A lot of quiet across the map, and there's the first spot of the round. And Fur and Taz see each other. They don't fight for it. Fall away for the moment until Taz wants to go for this peak, almost finds the timing. And he's going to maintain his aggression. Fallout's not ready for that. He doesn't think that's a possibility whatsoever. Taz now with the advantage. Oh, he gets stuck. Hits the box. He's got to fight his way out.
Here, looking to clutch another situation here. This would have been the 3rd 1vx clutch in about 3 out of 5 rounds here. We'll see if it's plausible, although SK, they're hunkered down, and this one's going to be tough to accomplish, and I believe that Snacks is actually just going to call this one off and fall back to save.
Yeah, really smart from him to save here as well, if he can actually do it. He's going to have to fight his way out. This is equally smart by Taco to try and cut this off and make it difficult for him to survive. In fact, Snacks is going to get pushed from 2 angles. I don't think there's a way out of this for him, and indeed, he's not even going to check behind him. There's FNX. They really could have used that save.
SPs and a single CZ sitting on Taz. They've got a couple little bits of utility to try and use, but they've already used quite a bit of it now, and they're down to just that single flashbang sitting on Neo. They try to play it aggressively out towards mid. The Ollie already taken some early damage, and they didn't even realize that Cold Zera had already gotten behind top boxes. He's just ripping them to shreds. Him and Fur managed that very easily.
Looking like a clean sweep for SK on this anti-eco. Well done. Pasha and Neo, the only 2 left. Pasha's all the way on the other site, so it's just Neo here. SK gonna claw themselves closer, 12 to 13 after this round.
And it comes down to 1 round once more. We've been in this situation so many times throughout this matchup now, where the scores remain essentially dead even. And VP, through that save, thankfully for themselves, will be able to get another buy onto the board. But as we can see, it empties out their bank account yet again. And SK are actually sitting, well, not too bad if they want to try to force up should they lose this upcoming round. In the meantime, though, it's going to be Neo that grabs that first shot out over there by the window. No one else is going to dare to repeat that there. Taco, though, moving himself up to the Palace position, and Snacks waiting right around the corner. Shuts down Taco already. It's
danger now until Taz gets in. 3 on 2, and when will Cold Zera? He's been legged, he's been out of the fight, but finally he pounces, finds a chance. Taz knows he has a 2-on-1, and somehow SK has brought themselves back into this round. It's only on Snacks.
From a 5-on-3 down to a 1v2, and it's now Snacks at the disadvantaged position here. Like so many rounds before, he's got no flashbangs, nothing to work his way back into this bomb site with. He's going to start the push now, tries to go for that no-scope, but it's going to miss, and FNX will close it down here. Tidely, they constrict them to mid, and somehow not only are they able to battle their way onto a site somehow, but also they bring that back in its entirety and still win the round, too. Very, very impressive from the Brazilian roster, and now they have another great chance to bring this back, of course, as VP. Again, they're going to be broken here. All they're going to be able to do more than likely is bring upgraded pistols to the table.
What a performance as well from FNX in this map. 31 kills for him. We saw fantastic maps earlier from Flamey, but FNX is matching that kind of an effort pulling his team to the finish line. And well, still very, very patient from SK. They've been caught off guard. I mean, Virtus.pro showed a tendency on the CT side to get aggressive. Sometimes at Eco rounds, we've seen a number of times Taz and, has led the charge up middle early on in rounds with the M4. So SK just making sure that's never going to happen. Really coordinating this peak and mid, forward underpass. Cold and FNX just now taking control of top mid. All the meanwhile, Taco waiting for any kind of a push. And he might get caught off guard because Bialy all the way down A ramp. It's going to come down to timing here, and it looks like that's going to work out in the favor of Taco.
Teammate, but nothing to be scavenged, nothing to be gained, and it's going to be SK that now take the lead once more, and they'll only be 2 rounds away from taking this first map.
Yeah, and then this was, what, 13-11, I believe, at one point. This has been a fantastic comeback for SK, a mini comeback. It's been close the whole way through, but still it looked like in a number of times Virtus.pro has kind of had this match locked up, maybe 1 round away from just closing it out, but SK, as we know, they do show resilience, and unfortunately, Bialy, that first bullet just misses narrowly, buys Taco the time to react.
So it'll all come down to this next round here.
Both of these teams just making sure that they don't lose it so early on. They don't want to give the team the other advantage, despite the fact that SK's come back from 3 to 5 deficits, still trying to prevent those early losses.
No movement as of yet here too from SK. They're still taking it very quietly to the usual setup that they've been working with for most of the half. But they got players in the B halls ready to push into underpass to the B site. We are going to see though a bit of a jump boost there from Fallen, but nothing or the run boost there, as nothing is going to be used from that though, since the members of
Taz falls as well. Virtus.pro, they've come so close and they're about to collapse. This is going to be a round for SK. It's just Neo left before he falls. 15-13. The clinical execution from SK as this half is winded down is stumping Virtus.pro.
And like I said, just at the beginning of that last round, even though VP now get themselves up to what I believe is the full losing bonus, they're still not going to have that great of a buy. Needing the utility, we're seeing 4 downgrades across the table. Pasha, just by pure necessity, he's still not going to have...
It's been effective, so why not ultra passive in the beginning? And the big thing is what's helping them out a lot, and I mentioned it earlier, Virtus.pro using a lot of utility early on in these rounds, so later on when the execution eventually does come in, they don't have a whole lot to counter them except their own skill.
SK, though, are still holding back in those B halls and on the wraparound from T-spawn. Waiting for Taco here, too, as he's been placed in that lurking position just outside of the T-ramp. Time runs a little bit low here, but you can see, again, Neo pushed out. He knows there's nothing in mid for the time being. And there's also still 2 players committed to the B-bomb, so they've got a great... Hey, and it bites back big time there, too. Taco holding on his own. Gets knocked out by an aggressive push, and when they finally go for the site hit, Virtus.pro had changed up their stack from a 4-1 over to a 4-1, but on the other site, they were all waiting for them in the B-bomb site, and the trap was sprung, so Virtus.pro able to execute that beautifully with minimal gun power. Now they get to upgrade it hugely, and we go into the 30th round to see if it's going to be overtime for VP or a victory for SK.
Been able to afford. Still no AWP for Virtus.pro. That switch into the double up was so effective, but they haven't got to know from research that Taco's usually the only one here, and he's been taking a lot of liberties. Aggression, a couple times we've seen in the last round especially. Now he's at the base of ramp. He can gather a lot of information, and actually FNX is the only one coming over this direction as well. So this could be interesting. If FNX goes ramp and Bialy gets this kill, that would be the bomb down. Meanwhile, Fallen holding down mid, waiting for everyone to get in place.
And we can see again FNX lurking his way up to that position too. He's got a bit of support over there, but it's way in the palace, so he's essentially alone. If Bialy is able to get this, FNX is going to check for it though. And Pasha, he's going to clutch it out. We're going to overtime. 15-15, SK. They haven't claimed this map just yet.
The trades in middle are incredible. And Virtus.pro have to make an own comeback when they're down so much. When SK just grabs hold of this match, it seemed like they were going to be out, but of course VP never giving up and fighting for that mid control to the last man, and Pasha eventually just wins it out for his team. A huge one-on-one.
So that all of a sudden saves Virtus.pro. The big thing I'm worried about...
Really afford ops towards the end of that from Virtus.pro. That'll be neutralized. It'll be interesting to see if they go into the double op setup right off the bat, because it worked perfectly for them. They switch into it halfway through that half, and they get 2 kills. They're in a 5-on-3, and they still manage to lose it. But now with the money, they might want to go back to it just because of how effective it was.
And so again, the big leaders for the team, it's still FNX really just paving the way here too for the side of SK. We haven't really seen any other players, lurching up beyond that. I believe he's sitting at around 34 kills. The next highest teammate is down. I think it's still Fallen or someone else like that.
Then that might spell the end of VP. The question now becomes, because both teams did a good job of controlling the CT economy of their opponents, when it resets, will they have as much success on their T sides? You could see a world where the CT side was of overtime was pretty dominant because they start out with 10,000.
And with that, obviously leading to a lot better control for them, but Virtus Pro are going to be the ones that have to start off on that edge. I believe as the sides will stay the same jumping in overtime, so they're going to be up on that test immediately too. And with the 10K start money there, the other issue is going to be, though, is that you can still technically run out of money by that third round. If you pull. It's just the question of, is it going to remain as good if they continue to use it over multiple rounds? It seemed to have catch the guys from SK off guard when they brought it in on that one round there.